The following is a conversation with Peter Christian, a multi-generational resident of the Baw Baw region in Victoria, a lifelong obsessed Sambar hunter and brilliant Sambar hunting guide through his outfit Baw Baw Adventures. During this conversation, Pete and I have a great conversation about the history of the Baw Baw region, how his grandfather came to the region and how they started hunting Sambar, and the changes in Sambar numbers and their movement and behaviour over the last couple hundred years. We also talk about the plight of the Brumby, the wild horses in the Baw Baw region, and what the government is doing to control their numbers for right and for wrong. And also throughout the conversation, Pete shares his thoughts and philosophies on hunting and how the world has changed and lost sense of reality. Now, you might not agree with everything that Pete says, his worldview, his philosophy, what he said and how he says it, but I encourage you to look deeper. There is a wealth of knowledge in people like Pete and a wisdom that can be mined for those who are interested in mining. I certainly don't agree with everything that Pete says, but I'm fascinated by the man and I learned a lot in my time with him. Now, also, before we head into the podcast, if you haven't already checked out the Australian Hunters Club, I encourage you to go do that. Our club is going from strength to strength. It's one of the fastest growing hunting clubs in the country. It's the best way to support me. It's the best way to support this podcast. If you're interested, check out australianhunters.com.au. We give away guided hunts every single month. This year in 2023, we are giving away one, sometimes two guided hunts every single month. We give away thousands of dollars of hunting gear every month. We have events, we have social events, hunting events. You can get discounts on hunting rides. It's a fantastic club. Hopefully you can join and I can see you at an event soon. But otherwise, on to the conversation with Pete. I hunt animals in the pursuit of life. Life lived and life taken. I believe it's through this dance with nature and the wild places that we truly live, connect and grow. I'm Chris Waters, the Australian Huntsman, and these are my stories. Pete, tell me about Baw Baw. How long have you been in Baw Baw for?
Well, in this district all my life.
Yeah.
Only 67 years.
And your dad and your grandpa?
My grandfather moved here in 1990 after the First War. He lost his arm in the First War. And yeah, the story with that is he went over to Gallipoli and then to France, got blown up in France, and the army lost him, the Australian Army.
MOA, sent a message back, telegram.
Sent a message back. And he and his two brothers had a sawmill each up in the Wombat State, what now is the Wombat State Forest.
Before the war?
Yeah. Like the family had it from when they come out on a ship for the gold rush.
Wow, that's early. So like they were the first Australians and they went straight to Wombat?
Yeah, well, they went to the gold mines.
Yeah.
Like looking for gold.
Like Bendigo, Ballarat.
Ballarat,
yeah.
And, but then went and cut wood for the miners instead of digging holes.
You were saying, we were talking about this and you were saying how, I think I even made the point of, it's smarter to serve the industry, the gold rush industry, than try and get the gold.
Yeah.
So he's got, your brothers are back at home working these sawmills. He's off getting blown up in France.
Yeah.
And then...
And his new wife, before he left, they sold his mill and gave her the money.
Yeah.
And he turned up, they found him again 6-8 months later in England in a rehab centre.
Yeah.
And they amputated his arm.
Yeah.
So he left that over there. He didn't bother bringing it back to Australia. And, the refrigeration wasn't that good.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine.
And they bought a farm up at Nayok.
Yeah.
Like that's where the railway line was in the process of being built between Nayok and New Jersey at the time.
Yeah.
And he cleared the farm there and had kids
arm.
and then with one arm, and worked at the station down here as a clerk doing all the tally work. That's not television back then. That was adding things up.
The real tally.
Yeah.
And he So he and his brothers, they were hunters, or was it less about the fact that they weren't hunters? They were just guys.
Yeah, well, his brother won a King's Medal for rifle shooting.
Yeah. Wow.
In I can't remember, but 1912 or something like that.
Wow.
Just before the war.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was hence an interest in hunting and shooting.
Yeah. And so your granddad is now working this farm. He's back with he's reunited with his wife.
Yep.
He has kids.
Yeah, they had 3 kids.
Yeah. You're one of them?
No, not quite. No, he died in 45. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's how it come to be in the area.
Yeah. Okay. And so your dad was so he was like post depression, and he was interested in hunting too.
Yeah, well, that's yeah.
What's the connection like? There's like why hunting? How did he get into it? Do you know? Did he talk much about it?
Well, for the pot mainly.
Yeah.
When they were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the squillion rabbits. So they were shooting rabbits. And,
yeah.
There were hardly any deer prior to the 39 fire coming this way.
Yeah.
They were all down closer to the Cooryarup swamp.
Okay.
Cooryarup swamp then was being drained, and like where the Sambar will let go at Harewood, and the reason why Sambar flourished, one of the reasons, is because they're not as dumb as the other deer, and they went and colonised the swamp, and the other deer colonised Cocky's paddocks and promptly got shot.
Yeah.
And so their numbers never grew.
So you don't really have fallow in this area at all. Just all Sambar.
There's a few that have got out from deer farms.
Yeah, but not from that original.
No.
Yeah. No. Okay.
No.
Right.
When they drained the swamp, the ideal habitat was gone for the deer, and so they started moving up the rivers that fed the swamp, like the Bunyip, the Tarago,
Yeah.
the Cardinia Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
And then colonised those river valleys, which the Tarago runs up to where the family farm was at Nayork, the back of the farm, where we went with where my daughter is.
Yeah.
That's the Tarago, the start of the Tarago, or one branch of it there.
Yeah. So within 30 or 40 years, all of a sudden there's deer around.
Well, they were starting to turn up.
Okay.
But then the 1939 fire happened. Mm-hmm. And so there was squillion acres of succulents. Remember I've talked about succulents?
You have talked about succulents.
How important succulents are.
I'm learning. And so when for context for people listening, I've been hunting with Pete now for a couple of days and just absorbing everything he has to say. And one of the things he spoke about early on was, the deer will be where the food is, and they like succulents. And in my mind, I thought succulents like cactuses, like, and I'm thinking, I never knew that. That's really strange. And then eventually I realised you meant juicy leaves, it's fructose, high fructose content.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
that's they're human after all. They love lollies.
So the fire comes through in 39.
Yep.
Burns a whole, like a squillion acres. All of a sudden, this new regrowth comes through, and there's these easy corridors. There's the deer coming up from the river, and they just graze and feed and move and follow the feed all the way through
and spread it out.
Yeah.
Through this area.
Yep.
Up to Jim Brook and that way as well, and into the Yarra, then up the Yarra River.
So when you're saying they're moving, they're not, the same animal isn't moving hundreds of acres, right? It's like an animal moves, then it drops a fawn, and that fawn moves, and then another one drops a fawn, and then so on and so forth.
Because we live in a matriarchal system.
Yeah.
The old doe, she'll have her patch. And if there's heaps of tucker there, she'll tolerate maybe
One or two.
3 generations.
Yeah, and then boot them.
But as soon as the food gets short,
Yeah.
she belts them up.
Yeah.
And then they've got to move on. The spikies particularly get a hard time.
Yeah.
And so they'll colonise first. They move the furthest because everywhere they go, they get belted by a stag.
Yeah.
Move on, son.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're not like the fallow young spikers that have bachelor herds where they're safe for like 70% of the year. It's like you're on your own. Once your mum's got too many kids,
Yep.
see ya, and
Yep.
then you're basically a lone stag for the rest of your life.
That's right. Yep. I have seen them in 2 or 3 velvet spikies getting around together. Almost like a bachelor herd, yeah.
Yeah.
But only 2 or 3,
Not to the same. Not when you got like 50.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that's how it's this rolling
That's how they're moving.
population growth
Yeah.
is going all the way up to Queensland.
Yeah.
Eventually that's where they'll end up.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the invasive species council don't do something ridiculous. But anyway.
Okay, so they're moving into the area. All of a sudden, when does the interest start in deer hunting? But in your generation, at least, with your dad.
Well, Dad, at the 39 fire,
Yeah.
my grandfather took him down to Alcock and Pierce, I was showing you the... And they bought a 30-30 and a 38-40.
From a magazine.
Yeah.
Filled out the form on the back of the magazine.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's not under there. I was looking for it before. But it's literally at the back of this book. It has. I've got some footage, so I can even put it up on the video. It's a mail order, and you fill it out, and you page 153, item 4, which is £7 for a 22, and you put your name, and then you send a. Did you send a check, or how did you?
Or money order.
Yeah, money order. Yeah, and then your gun arrives in the mail.
Yeah.
With your ammo.
With your ammo. Yep.
So he buys. What did he buy?
38-40.
38-40. Okay.
A Model 92.
Yeah.
Winchester.
Lever action or?
Yeah, lever action. Yeah. Yep. And my uncle got a 30-30. A flash one.
Yeah, well, that would have been a big gun then, right?
Oh, shit, yeah.
That would have been like a big,
real high power.
A cannon.
Yeah. Anyway, Ern went over to England and stayed over there with the Air Force. Mm-hmm. He was a fighter pilot over there.
Yeah.
Throughout the war. Come back in 47.
Yeah.
Left in 39 and come back in 47.
Yeah, that's your dad.
No, my uncle.
Your uncle. And what's your dad's name?
Les.
Okay.
Anyway, so he was in hunting too, but he didn't get much of a chance to hunt during the war because he was hunting German aeroplanes. Different type of shooting.
Yeah, they have even bigger cannons than 30-30.
That's right.
30.
Yeah. Anyway, Dad was too young to join up at the start of the war. Mm-hmm. He didn't join up until 43.
Yeah.
And so he had those few years with all these deer.
Yeah.
And a 38-40.
Yeah.
So he learned how to shoot real straight with it. And, yeah.
Put a few deer on the deck.
Yeah.
And what's your earliest memory of hunting deer with him? How old were you when he started taking you out?
5 or 6.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Different world.
Yep. Remember I showed you a picture of the Weedner brothers with the hog deer? Mm-hmm. Old Eddie, when I was, I don't know, I might have been 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eddie walked on with a cane and he had little round glasses. He wore black wireframe glasses.
Yeah, I know the ones.
He would have been 80 odd at the time. Anyway, we're looking for deer tracks, walking down this old snake track. The next thing he stops and he looks and said, "Oh, geez, son, my eyes aren't as bad as what I thought." "No, why is that, Mr. Wheaton?" He said, "I can see caterpillar tracks." And I looked at the ground and I looked at him and I looked and I bloody walking along looking, got down and I'm looking. My eyes must have been stuffed. I couldn't see any caterpillar tracks. Anyway, I looked at him and said, well, I can't see them. Where are they? And he said, well, look. And he got his stick and he went, there's one there and there's one there and there's one there. About that far apart, the cleats on a bulldozer. Caterpillar bulldozer. Yeah. Anyway, that was an early memory.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And so, for you growing up, you've got access. You're in this beautiful part of the world. You know, you've got access to deer. Is that access as well as, you know, a bit of your heritage from your father and your grandfather? Is that what gets you into hunting, or did you have other mates that were hunting? Like, where did the obsession start?
No, it was through family.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I grew up with hounds, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
But back in those days, what happened after the fire, and it happens all the time. You know, people go, oh, there's millions of deer, there's millions of deer. Well, there's not bloody millions of deer. What it is, where there's a rich food source, there's a lot of deer and they'll concentrate there.
Yeah.
What happens in a fire, everything grows really fast after the fire. And when the saplings get up to about 3 metres, something like that, they get that thick, no sunlight hits the ground. There's no food for the deer. So they move on.
Yeah.
This is another part of their migration.
Yeah.
And what it does then, it pushes them into small areas where there's a lot of food. So people look at those areas and go, oh, there's millions of them.
Sure, because we know there's millions over here, but those millions have moved over here.
Exactly.
So
there's not
twice as many deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because the population moves with the food. There'll still be some left in that regrowth because there'll be little pockets in it of food. But reflect back to the matriarchal system, if there's not enough food there for more than the doe and her fawn, the others get belted up. You know, they're really aggressive.
Yeah.
And piss them off.
Yeah.
And that's just
the way it works.
the way deer are.
Yeah.
So what happened when I was growing up, when I was, probably till I was about 18 or something like 17, we'd only shoot maybe 5 deer a year. You know, that'd be it. You know, during the winter, I only hunted in winter.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be bloody mad to go at him with it like this.
You got to have 2 kids and a wife and be time for to do it. Is what you've got to be.
Yeah.
And have someone who's mad who agrees.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened then? The Route 39 root growth got big enough that they started to develop more food underneath it. You know, the saplings got big enough and they thinned themselves out.
Yeah.
More sun got in, more tucker.
Yeah.
More tucker. The deer didn't keep getting buggering off and the numbers have built up to where now we'll shoot maybe 100, 120 a year with the hounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for you mean?
The family.
The family. Yeah.
Yeah, we still got the family hound.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that's with the hounds. And then personally I shoot maybe 20 to 25 around that on average a year.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the guys I take out, I don't know, I've never kept count of that, but they frighten a lot.
He's looking at Tegan behind the camera, Tegan from our club who took our first shot on a deer tonight, but unfortunately
did a great job.
Great setup.
Yeah,
he's good.
But she watched Maxwell Smart too much and missed by that much.
Oh, it's sad that I know what that is. I shouldn't know what that is, but I do. All right, so you're growing up. You're interested in deer. When did you start guiding deer?
Oh, only about I don't know, 13 years ago.
Okay, 13 years ago. And I'm interested, so when we were talking before the other day, you mentioned a name that I knew and I understood, and I think a lot of listeners will understand as well, Errol Mason.
Yeah.
And you said when he came to you, he came looking for advice from the real master, the real the real sage.
No, I'd never be derogatory. But he came to a hunter education course.
Yeah.
And did 188 hunter education.
And you were in the 88, and you still are.
Still are, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've done 32, 33 courses now. That's 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been helping. I went into the hunter education for two reasons. One, there was a hell of a lot of poaching going on. It still is. I've sort of changed my opinion now on that, in that it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
There's some people just can't.
You can't fix them.
Yeah. If I can pass on the enjoyment I've got out of the hunting and being in the bush to help someone, pass my, or help them enjoy what I've enjoyed, well, I'm happy.
Yeah. You leave a legacy and you leave some good in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I was really impressed with by you, and I've spent a bit of time with a few different guides now, and your attention to detail really impressed me, and like even your understanding of flora and fauna, and like taking the time to show me what the deer are grazing on and explaining why they're grazing on that. And when they break off a stick, 90 degrees, and then they or they're nipping the tops off because that's where they're super succulent.
Exactly.
And then once you just that kind of stuff, you can't. I don't believe you can learn from a book, and you can't learn it from YouTube. You can't learn it from a podcast. You just have to see it. Someone has to go, here, you see this, and stick it in your face. So you see how the top of that's knocked off and it's white and it's dead. That's because deer's been grazing on it. And so I was really impressed by that. And I feel like it's those little things that will get lost. Like people will always be around to teach you how to butcher a deer or I don't know, or how to hunt with the wind. But it's the little things that I feel like get lost. And I don't know about you, whether you can agree with this or you disagree, but for me, successful hunting is based on the accumulation of lots of different tips and tricks that you can have in this handbook. And some of them are bigger and more important, like the wind, and some of them are less important, like making sound. And it's about how you make sound as opposed to not making any sound at all. But then if you have enough of them, you can get the edge that you need.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And it's all the 1%ers end up 100%.
Yeah. If you have 100 of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's very true.
And that's why I've been, one of the reasons why I've been doing hunter education is to give people the edge on the Sambar, to improve their chances of having success and enjoy. Instead of, because it's terrible hard work flogging your guts out, walking around in the bush with a 25 kilo pack on your back full of all the latest gear and technology, and up and down hills and running around everywhere. And, someone shot a 30-inch over there. Boom! You race over there and you run around all over there. Yeah. And you don't see anything. You see one on the road. Yep. Oh, boom! Bugger that walking around. And then put a spotlight out. It's easier to get into that. Lots of people have done it.
Yeah,
It's up to individuals. But if I can help them make it easier, get more success, it's a positive to me.
Yeah, I must admit, I wonder those people that go to poaching or spotlighting or even thermals or whatever, I wonder how long they stay engaged in hunting for. Yeah. Or do they just do it, it's like, oh yeah, fun, and that's it. Like,
I'm sure there's a lot of people do. I don't like. There's a vast difference, in my opinion, between hunters and shooters.
Yeah.
They're just not the same thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because look, the hunting. Well, as Tegan saw this evening, you know, we sat there waiting for him to turn up for, what was it, 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Standing beside a tree for 2.5 hours.
It sent me up the top of the mountain to vlog my guts out.
Yeah.
You know what? As I was walking down that mountain, do you know what I felt like? I was like, I feel like I'm driving the deer. I feel like that's my job right now.
Yeah, no.
You could have done a better job on that.
Fighting words from the back. It's great.
But yeah, and then when they finally turned up, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Of shooting.
Yeah, of getting set up for the shot and taking a shot. And then having them honk, I don't know how many times we would have.
I reckon 20 times.
Oh,
easy time.
Easy.
Yeah.
I think there was 5 different deer honking at us then. But it had got too dark. So we just walked past them.
Yeah.
Coming out. But that's hunting. Yeah.
I agree.
And now Tegan's, it's a first trip,
Shot.
her first shot.
Yeah.
Buddy. So now she hopefully she understands that that's hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Like the shooting's only 1 minute,
Yeah.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to have a brother-in-law who mentored me and taught me the hard kind of hunting in the high country, Sambar. And so that's only, apart from bunnies and stuff early on, that's been my only experience of hunting. So when anyone ever says, you know, like, oh, I like hunting, that's what I picture in my mind, because that's what I do, and that's what I really enjoy. I want it to hurt. I want to sweat. I want it to be difficult. I don't want to just pop, you know, a spotlight out and shoot a deer. I don't feel like I've earned it. I don't feel like I've respected the animal. I don't feel like I've done anything particularly valuable. But that's my experience, and I wonder how many people just don't get a taste for that experience because the person that introduces them or the thing that introduces them is not like that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's right.
Which makes hunter education even more important.
Yeah.
You get ahead of that, and when a new hunter comes in and joins the ADA or joins some other club, they get a taste from people who know what they're saying, that this is what hunting is.
Yep. Like, you can go spotlighting or thermaling. If you want to feed your family, get on private property.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
go
knock
and shoot
one
a deer,
down. Yeah.
knock it over.
Yeah.
You shoot them, you're not hunting them, you shoot it,
Yeah.
dress it out, eat it.
Yeah. No
Nothing wrong
qualms,
with it.
no issues, yeah.
No, that's, you're feeding your family, that's good. But never confuse it with hunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're two different things.
Yeah. So what did you teach Errol? What were some of the things he asked?
Oh, no, just general.
Just general deer hunting.
Yeah, general deer hunting. Tips on, where to hunt.
Yeah.
Like the things I've taught you. I've taught everyone that I've talked to is about the food and how important the food is.
Yeah.
And understanding the food, and in different areas, what type of food at what time of year, and so that's where they'll be going.
Yeah.
And it cuts your walk, and then your whole, instead of wasting time,
Yeah.
you narrow your field down, especially someone that's time poor. You'll narrow it down.
Yeah. So of all the people that you've taken out, what do you think is the most common mistake that people make, or series of mistakes, from gear to behaviour?
It's slowing down.
Yeah. Moving too slow.
No, moving too fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even your hand movements.
Yeah.
When you turn your head, just move slow.
Yeah.
You've just got to
Everything's slow.
slow down.
You know, I used to get told half and then half of that. is how fast you should be moving. So slow down and then slow down again.
Yeah, that's true. Because told you that if there's something going crunch, 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 crunch in the bush, every animal knows that animal's being chased. That's why it's hurrying. Every animal in the bush moves and stops.
Yeah.
If they hear something hurrying, it's whoa, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like hunting up in the head of the Murray where I go, it's with the horses. You spend as much time stalking the horses, evading them, so that they don't.
So you don't spook everyone else.
Yeah, and then everything for the next kilometres, buddy. Look at them. Yeah.
So speaking about horses, I'm really interested in pulling this apart because I know very little about wild horses, and you know quite a lot. Well, you know more than the average Joe about wild horses, and I know that you're passionate about it. So at the moment, it's a really contentious issue. What should be done about these horses? People can't agree on how many there are. People can't agree on how much damage they're doing. People can't agree on what we should do with them.
I probably shouldn't go to Walt Disney.
We can talk about Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a core part of your philosophy. We'll just keep it PG, Walt Disney.
I'll just take a blood pressure tablet. Yeah. I've got a theory that the worst person that's ever been in the world is Walt Disney. He had the most detrimental effect on our society because there's the vast majority of bureaucrats. We're not governed by elected officials.
Yeah.
We're governed by bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And the bureaucrats live in this thing that Walt Disney World, it's called Fantasyland.
Yeah.
They have got no golly gosh idea of what the real world is.
Yeah.
Like to stand in front of a camera and say that the reason why the number of brumbies is in their counts is doubling and tripling within 2 years, the professor said, well, obviously they have 2 foals a year. And that's amazing, 2 foals a year when they have an 11-month gestation period.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
And these are the bureaucrats that are governing us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, yeah.
So
the blood pressure gets up with it. It's the stupidity.
So how does...
And trying to count on a grid pattern with a helicopter, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then average that over the whole park when the horses only will be where the food is, like every other animal on earth. They'll only be where there's food. Most of the heavy bush, as soon as you get underneath the bloody snow line, there's virtually nothing for them to eat.
Yeah.
So they could only live on those plains.
Yeah. So you can't extrapolate and say, well, we saw 10 here, so therefore we'll expect to see 10 here and 10 here and 10 here and 10. It's like, no, there's 10 here because that's where the food is.
That's where the food is.
And that's the entire population.
Exactly.
And anything else is probably going to die.
Yep. And flying over in a helicopter and count them, and then you fly back over there and you count the ones over there. These bureaucrats, scientists are that clever, they forgot that horses have got 4 legs. And you get a noisy helicopter flying over them.
And they spook.
Yeah. So you fly back, 500 yards over there.
Yeah.
Where are the ones that you've spooked here gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you want to do something about the horses, count the bloody things properly for a start. Then you'll understand if there's a problem and if there isn't. Anyone that's ever had anything to do with horses knows how hard it is to get them into a bog, into something really soft. They just hate it. If you're up the bush and you want to go through a river, go where the brumbies go.
Yeah, follow them.
Follow them. If there's a wet, a swampy area, follow where the brumbies go. It won't go over your boots. It'll be hard, rocky underneath. Go 10 yards that way, 10 yards that way, and it'll go up to your guts.
Yeah.
In mud. But the brumbies won't do that.
Yeah.
Because they'll die.
Yeah.
if they get stuck in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's not rocket science. But apparently they're destroying, killing all the frogs and the bloody galaxia and everything else.
Do you think they're an issue?
I do not see them as an issue.
Yeah. Do you mean like in Victoria, or do you mean like at all?
Look, I don't know. I haven't spent enough time in the
I'm gonna take
Kosciuszko.
these away from you, so you stop making noise with them.
I haven't spent enough time in the Kosciuszko National Park, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah.
But where they've been shooting them out of helicopters in Victoria, and I've have a look at my website, you'll see the facts.
Yeah. You see the pictures.
See the
numbers
pictures
on
of the
ground.
dead horses. And like there's one there that's a classic. It's been shot from above and it's been shot just in front of the pelvis. Bullets coming out just behind the sternum.
Yeah.
And
Gut shot.
Gut shot. And its intestines were hooked up in the bush all the way down to where it was laying down and then died there. And that's
Humane.
That's our government looking after the bloody national park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you ask anyone from the national park about that. I posted pictures, and this bloke said on, "Oh, this is obviously photoshopped." Fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're never going to convince them
No.
because they live in Walt Disney World.
So people argue that these horses, because they're introduced species, and our Australian bush hasn't evolved alongside them, that they do all this damage. What kind of damage do people propose that they're doing? What?
Well, bugger up peat bogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peat beds. What do you call it? Sphagnum moss beds, sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
They bugger them because they get in, they run around in them,
Yeah.
in these basic swamps, and wreck them. Well, I've just pointed out before,
They don't like soft ground. Yeah.
they don't like soft ground.
Yeah.
They know that if they go in soft ground, they'll die.
Yeah.
So they stay out of it.
Yeah.
Like they're dumb, they're a lot smarter than the average bloody bureaucrat.
So, like, what I try to understand in my mind is how much even if it's just food consumption, so even if a horse is just grazing and it's eating, how much damage is that doing to the environment? And then I look at like what roos do, for instance, or cows that are massive field, and they're sending all that carbon dioxide, methane into the atmosphere, heating the world up or whatever. I just can't. What I see, and I'm completely ignorant in this. So this is just what I see, and it could be 100% wrong, but it's an introduced species, and so automatically it's got a target on it. Automatically it's got eyes on it, and it could be doing anything, and it will always be accused of causing damage because it's. Now I haven't crunched the numbers, I haven't counted them, but I find it difficult to see how a mob of, I don't know, let's say 20 roos does less damage than a horse. And there's not how many.
It's what the principle behind this is that a hard hoof, a hard foot,
Tramples.
compacts and changes the structure of the plants and everything.
Okay.
Compared to soft-footed.
Okay.
That's
the argument.
That's the argument. Well, all right. I can't agree with that because I haven't seen it.
Sure.
I've seen game trails that are compacted, but there's every animal in the bush
He's using it.
uses it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know about that.
And I've heard arguments that they transport seeds as well.
Yeah.
In their manure. Then they take invasive seeds from here and they drop them over here.
Well, I'll just point a little thing out there. That when the Walt Disney World people get a map, and they go like that on the map with a pencil, and then they write National Park on it. Mm-hmm. And I'll go back to when this first started, when Joan Kerner first started doing this in Victoria. Mm-hmm. A bloke that hunted with us, or two guys hunted with us when it all got amalgamated.
Yeah.
These two guys were the only two left that had been to the Creswick Forestry School that got jobs. All the others got
the sack,
right? So that that part of the bureaucracy was going to be had to go to university and get a degree from a university where they got indoctrinated. That's just a simple fact. Completely different attitude towards the whole bush, right, and how to manage it. No doubt she thought she was doing the right thing. They started making national parks. Now Bernie, one of the guys, he was put in charge of the northeast. He was based at Wangaratta. The first year of his new job, he looked at what had to be done, what the job description, the works that had to be done. Mm-hmm. And in those works, there were these new national parks areas. And they had to have public camping, which had to be mown, and have firewood put there. So, rightio, puts a crew on, they go around and do that. In 6 months, his whole budget for the park was gone.
Just with chopping up firewood?
Keeping the camps right. Mm. The whole budget went on that.
And that includes what, conservation and...
There was not 1 cent there to spray all the invasive species of plants, all the noxious weeds.
Yeah.
And ever since then, whenever that was 85 maybe, 4, I can't remember exactly, about then. Ever since then, they've spent about, nothing. Nothing that's worth doing anything.
Nothing that solves the issue.
They have completely wasted time, wasted money by doing little Band-Aid jobs on all the myriad of weeds that are in the bloody park. Like, I'm not against national parks. The principle of national parks is a good idea.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to manage them.
Yeah.
And you can't manage them without money.
Yeah.
And, like, what I think is that with the horses, cats, foxes, dogs, pigs, deer do 1,000 times more damage to the parks than the horses ever will.
Yeah.
The reason why the horses, and this is the other thing with the horses, that they just can't get in their bloody Disneyland brains, is that they've been there for over 150 years. Do the maths. How many million horses should be there? If they all breed.
Yeah, if they drop a fall every year.
Yep.
A lot.
1 million.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But there's not.
But there's not.
Yeah. It tells you that Mother Nature's doing
there's a few thousand.
Yeah.
What the Walt Disney World people don't understand is that any horse that's born too late hasn't got the body mass to last the winter.
Yeah, just die.
They die.
Yeah.
Any horse whose teeth are starting to go back haven't got the body mass. They die.
Yeah.
Like living up in the Alps, it's deadly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unless you're fit and strong, you're going to die. So they are being culled by nature the whole way through. That's never been taken into account. They've never, in all their studies on them, all the so-called studies on them, none of that's been taken into account. And so anyway, but I haven't got a list of letters behind my name, I'm just a bloke
Doesn't like Walt Disney.
Doesn't like Walt Disney. That's right. Or Fantasyland. I
Or
should say.
Fantasyland.
Yeah.
There's I've heard some interesting proposals about. So there's a few different camps. There's people who say they're just horses, mate. They're not doing anything wrong. Just leave them. They're fine. They have kind of historical and cultural significance to Australia, part of our history.
Yep.
They're not doing any damage. They're beautiful animals. Tell you what, if you see a wild horse, they look like they're having the time of their lives. And then you see someone riding a horse, looks miserable. So there's that camp. And then there's the camp that says, okay, maybe they're causing some issues, but we need to control them. What's the best way to control them? And then there's the people who are like, they just need to be, let's just chop them, shoot them, and raise them to the ground. The people who are in the middle are people that I find fascinating and interesting, that are trying to find interesting, humane ways. And some of them, at least that I've researched, include corralling them, capturing them, and then relocating them, which is interesting.
Well, they've been rehoming them.
Yeah, rehoming them.
But you can't rehome if you caught, if all of a sudden you've got 3,000 or 4,000 horses.
Yeah.
You'll flood the market.
Yeah.
I'm really, actually, I'll tell you a story comes to mind here. Where I go and camp and guide up, East Gippsland, it's beside the Alpine walking track. And I reasonably regular have people come past, and if I'm at my camp, I call in and have a meal, stand by a hot fire that hasn't got smoke. Because you see them typically, they've got this little thing like this with smoke billowing out because the wood's green and they get no heat of it because it's wet. Poor buggers. But anyway.
Walt Disneyland.
Yeah. Anyway, this girl said, it was terrible. She'd come from Canberra. Mm-hmm. And she said, it's terrible. There were just thousands and thousands of horses and they terrified me. They're so big and there was just thousands of them. I said, yeah. How many days did you see horses? She said, 2. I said, and you've been going for how long? 4 weeks. Mm. So you saw horses for 2 days and you've seen there were thousands of them. Don't bullshit me.
I think she accidentally ran into a horse convention or something.
Never seen horses, not used to horses.
Yeah.
Saw these big animals and
See, to me, that's exciting. Like, to have large animals in our bush that, like I haven't seen that many, but the ones I've seen, they just dominate. They did, and it's amazing to watch. Yeah. I often think about them in the same light as if cows weren't domesticated. If you roll back a couple of 1,000 years and as a hunter you found a bull in the middle of the bush, man, you'd fill your dacks. Like, just incredibly powerful animals. And that's exciting. I don't think we should be worried about that. That's a good thing.
I reckon I suspect that these Walt Disney World people are terrified of a big animal. And, it's got to go, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Not the cat that's bloody slinking around that you don't see, not the pig that you don't see, not the fox that you don't see. Those things, they're not there. Well, bullshit. Have a look at the tracks on the ground, have a look at the shit that's on the ground.
Yeah.
Have a look at all the sign that's there, telling you what's there in the bush, and you'll know.
Yeah.
Because the horses are a big thing and they're not hard to see when they're out in the middle of the plain. Yeah. They've got to go.
And it's not like they're bedded down or anything. They're just slowly grazing and making their way around. Yeah. So they're pretty obvious. How do you feel about the moves to sterilise them?
Well, I've got a little story on that.
Yeah.
Reflect back to the polka dot woman. Joan Kerner. And
I hope you don't get me in trouble.
It's all right. I'm not racist. Yeah. Is that racist, polka dots? Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. she came up with this idea. She got rid of, I can't remember the exact figures, but I think there was either 9 or 12 dogmen between Bruthen, it was probably 9, between Bruthen and Mount Hotham.
A dogman?
Yeah.
What's a dogman?
Dingo trapper.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, when she amalgamated all the departments, there were 3 to do 9 men's work. Now, the 9 guys that were there were working, had traps out 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Every day of the year.
For wild dogs and dingoes, or just dingoes?
No, wild dogs.
As a whole, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, traps don't.
Yeah.
Traps trap them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You step in one, you will be.
You're a wild dog.
Anyway, all the cockies went crook because the numbers went up. They're losing sheep. 200 or 300 sheep a night. They could lose to dogs. It's going to send them broke. Anyway, there was a meeting at Bairnsdale, and they had a we're going to tell you what's going on. So she stood up and told them what was going on. Now they'd come up with this new idea. It was going to solve all their problems. And the snares, because they weren't allowed to trap them, they had to have these snares. They'd snare them, tranquilise them, and cut all the dogs, all the males.
Yeah.
And then release them. Just release the females.
Okay.
Anyway, this cocky from up at Omeo. Excuse me, Miss Kerner. Yeah. What's your question? He said, Miss Kerner, I think you don't understand what the problem is. You've got to understand that the dingoes are killing our sheep, not fucking them. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that. Sorry.
You knew that it was going. Did he actually say that?
Yeah. So
this will have to be an adults only episode.
So, I hope that answers your question about.
Well, I guess with the horses, the difference is that the dingoes were, and sometimes people say are, an immediate threat to the livelihood of these farmers. Whereas a horse, it's like a sterile horse will live its life and then die, and then it accomplishes the goal because it's not just over a longer period. Whereas,
to sterilise them, it's not an easy job.
No, I was curious how they do it. They trank them from a chopper, do they?
Well, that is one way. Yeah. But you've got to hit them right, and you've got to have the right dose for the weight
the size. Otherwise, you kill it.
Yeah, it's not an easy fix. I'll round them up and then, put them in some yards. Well, it's a huge job. Like chasing brumbies through the bush, it's not for the faint-hearted. You've got to be an exceptional horse person to do that.
Do you think there'd be a pathway forward? Because I see one of the major driving forces to get anything done in this world is just put value on it. Is just say it's worth X amount of dollars.
Yep.
And then some people out there will be like, oh, it'd be fun to chase brumbies and catch them and lasso them and bring them in and sell them.
Yeah.
And has anyone ever considered that you could just sell these?
No, these guys do it.
Guys do it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
But only a few, because it's a lot easier to get a broken leg or a broken neck than what it is to catch a brumby.
Yeah, okay.
Like you tried galloping through the bush.
Yeah. That's scary. I wouldn't do it.
You try
when you're this high off the ground.
Yeah. And try putting a rope around their bloody...
I've tried that on a domestic horse, and that was not fun.
But in the bush...
Yeah. Nah. I had a horse. We live in a horsey part of Australia, Victoria. A lot of horses in our town, a lot of equestrians. And there's a couple of horses couple of houses up from us, and one naughty horse that always gets out. And we're laying in bed at night, my wife and I hear this, and I'm like, "Jeez!" And my wife says, "Is that a fox?" And I'm thinking, "How big is the fox? That's a big fox." I'm like, "That is not a fox."
Fox with big boots.
Yeah, he's got big boots on. And so I walk around to the side of the house and I look down and I'm like, "No, nothing there," with the torch, doing, big sturdy husband thing. Go to the front door and I open the front door and there's this massive face staring at me. And you walk out our front door and we have like a deck that tears down, and he's like eye level to me, which means that he's like 9 foot high or whatever. And I'm like, "Wow, that's a big horse." And I'm like, "Okay, what do we do now?" It's 11 o'clock at night. We have this horse. It's obviously someone's horse. We know whose horse it is. It's down the road's horse. And so my wife's like, "Go get a rope." So I got to get a rope, and man, he was not gonna take the rope, and he was getting annoyed. And I'm like, I said, "Amy, quick, get some apples." And so I just got a bag of apples, and I let him back with a bag of apples.
Yeah,
that's what it took to get him moving.
Yeah, yep. But you sure it was a stallion?
I don't know.
Well, burn of night time was probably a nightmare.
He was definitely a nightmare. He was a cheeky nightmare. Oh, all right. So there's the relocating, there's the sterilising, there's the outright shooting.
Yeah.
Is there baiting?
I don't. It's like with deer, trying to bait deer. You've got something that weighs, 300 kilos. The amount of poison.
Would just kill everything in the bush.
Anything that touches that'd kill. You get a little possum. Bloody start playing with a bait, or a bird plays with a bait, they're dead.
Yeah, we had the same discussion we were discussing the other day, though, that the same applies for deer, right? For a sambar that's 300 kilos, the size of the bait, the potency of the bait, the 1080 that you would have to use would just kill everything. Yeah. It doesn't discriminate.
No. And so if they can guarantee that they're not going to hurt... But see, they guaranteed that they weren't going to hurt the horses shooting them out of helicopters. And there's me bloody photograph with the bloody intestine hanging out of the bloody along in the bushes to where the horse is lying dead. And that's humane, and that's doing it nice.
Yeah.
No.
I don't understand how... Like, I get... Some people like deer. Some people, it's like, a deer's deer, I don't really care. But I don't know many people who don't like horses. Who don't feel sympathetic towards the horses. Case Tegan's raising her hand. She's the 1%er. So when we have aerial culling and people get upset about it and people share pictures, I don't understand how that doesn't appear in the front newspaper.
Oh, because
it's been done by the government.
The journalists went to the same university as the bloody bureaucrats.
But there's nothing wrong with universities.
Yeah, well, that's where they get to know each other, and that's where they network.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't stab each other, or rarely stab each other in the back.
Yeah, okay.
It's all about networking. That's what that is. That's why I say it at university, because that's where they get together to network.
But I'm not sure it's just... I mean, I think that's an oversimplification, because there's so many...
It's the only common denominator.
But there's so many... I think there must be something else, though, because there's so many news outlets. I mean, anyone can post online. Anyone can... Like, there's little... there's digital magazines and stuff. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for people to share this, but it just doesn't seem to permeate. And I don't understand why horsey people don't get up in arms about this.
Oh, they do. I had
equestrian clubs and...
Like I in that... When I posted that... I've done a few now. Of them shooting the horses. And, and finding horses dead. The last ones, they'd shot 5 with a helicopter. And there were 2 foals. I watched those 2 foals for just on 3 months. Yeah. And I was nearly going to shoot him myself, because I didn't think they'd survive.
Give them a humane kill,
Yeah. But they did, until someone came along and shot them. Still, where their rotten mothers are still there, laying there.
And they couldn't leave them.
And the foals are still feeding around their rotting mothers.
Yeah.
And the arsehole shot them.
Yeah.
And the one of them, you can see in the photo, where it's been trying to get up, and it's dug a hole in with its feet, with its hooves like that, trying to get up. That's how long it's taken to die.
He didn't even go and finish it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, not like the holes are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the only way the holes are there is because the hooves have been going like this. It's been thrashing.
Churn up the earth, yeah.
And dug holes that deep.
Yeah, true.
You know, and that's what happens when Walt Disney World tries to do stuff. Like if you've got a cull 'em, you cull 'em on foot and you shoot 'em in the head. Get people that can shoot properly and you just shoot 'em in the head.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it. You know, doesn't matter how good a shot you are when you've got a moving target on a moving platform. You can have fuck-ups.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can have muck-ups. And that's just facts.
Yeah.
You know, it's possible for really good shots to misplace a shot in the head. But if they're...
Well, horse's brain isn't very big, is it? It's like that.
Oh, I don't know. I've never opened one up. Never looked at it like that. Yeah.
I don't think it has a huge brain.
Probably about the size. I'm just thinking of the size of the skull and where the atlas bone is. Yeah, because I've picked up a few skulls near where the parks have shot them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to pick them all up and take them down, drop them off.
Post them
at Spring Street. Yeah. Anyway.
Send them to Parliament.
Yeah. That won't change anything.
No. I just don't understand why it doesn't make a bigger splash than...
Neither do I. You'd have to ask the media outlets. I can't work that out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So if you could... If you had a magic wand and you could wave...
No, I'm not in Fantasyland.
Okay.
No, go on, sorry.
No. I'll rephrase it so it's not Fantasyland. If you were the Prime Minister of Australia, and if you had a magic wand and you could wave it and have any result that you wanted regarding them, what would it be?
Well, the very first thing, sack the scientists and get proper facts. Like do it properly.
You want to know what's actually
not have
happening.
A scientist that believes that they have 2 foals a year within they've got an 11-month gestation period. You can't have an idiot like that running the program. You know, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Get proper
counsel. Yeah. Someone who knows.
To get your facts right.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not working with facts, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
All you're doing is wasting taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
That's all that it is.
Yeah.
A waste of taxpayers' money.
So you got the facts, and it comes back one of two things, right?
Yep.
They're a problem or they're not. What happens if they're a problem?
Well, if they're a problem, you'd have to cull them by rehome if possible.
Yep.
Catch what you can and rehome.
Yep.
You work out the level that you're going to need. See whether it's practical to rehome them. Rehome what you can, and what you can't, you've got to shoot off the ground.
Yeah. So you're not opposed to managing it. You're just opposed to ill-informed decisions and poor execution of management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line to me.
Yeah.
Like they're making a problem where I don't see that there's a problem. You know, like to turn around and say there's 38,000 horses in the park. What?
That's a lot.
That's total bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an impossibility.
Yeah.
There's just no way. Is there that many horses?
You'd be rubbing shoulders with them.
They've got no idea. You know, get the facts right. Then work out a solution. Like if you were running a business and you ran your business on a business plan that was just total bullshit, what would happen to your business?
You go under.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the bureaucrats live in fantasy land, they don't go under. So they get away with wasting.
They get re-elected.
They're not elected.
Yeah.
They don't answer. You know, they're the hidden gods.
So is there a solution? Or is there, I mean...
Well, that's what I believe. Get your facts right, then work out a plan.
Yeah.
Same with the deer. Get your facts right and then work out a plan.
Yeah.
You know, as we went over before about, there's millions of deer. Well, there's not millions of deer. Look, in the whole of Victoria and New South Wales, there might be a million deer, yeah. But there's not millions of deer in this spot.
Yeah.
It's where the food is where the deer
The
are.
golden rule, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a myriad of different things that change the landscape. What food's there? Drought, fire, flood, all those things.
And just because they're here now doesn't mean they'll be here tomorrow.
No, exactly.
Things change.
In those numbers.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, mate, thanks for chatting.
Too easy.
Do I live in the real world? Is this the real world? Are
You
you real?
Yeah, you're learning, son. You're learning.
And so that's it. That's my conversation with Pete Christian. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you were challenged by what Pete said. I was certainly challenged. I'm still kind of digesting some of the things that he said and trying to sort through, what is kind of passion-based conversation versus what's grounded in reality. Pete is a fantastic man, full of wisdom, full of knowledge, and I've really enjoyed my time with him. And I hope that you have enjoyed your time listening to this conversation and your brief glimpse into Pete's life and thoughts. Now, if you haven't already checked out the Australian Hunters Club, I encourage you to stop the podcast, pause it right now, go head over to australianhunters.com.au, check it out. It's the great way to support me, best way to support this podcast. Again, there are great reasons to join the club. You can go on the Draw to Win guided hunts every month. You can go on the Draw to Win products every month. You can get discounts on products. We have events, all sorts of good stuff, plus your insurance, your genuine reason, all that stuff as well. Head over there to australianhunters.com.au, but otherwise, hopefully I see you in another video or podcast episode soon.